Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So in this video, I'll be showing you how to do an animation in your web page. Okay, so I'll take a small example like creating a circle, like displaying a circle in your web page, and it should be of different colors. And it should be animated. Animated as in it should be, let's say, rotating in its own axis at the middle of your page or middle of your web page. Okay, so let's get started with how to do animation with CSS. Okay, so getting started, I'll just do a basic HTML for this particular topic or this particular coding. So let's say the doc type HTML, and then setting up all the things like the viewport and the meta character set, everything like this is important whenever you are trying to create a responsive web page. Then that point of time you have to define the meta name, the meta characteristic, everything. Okay, so right over here, I'll just tell like I'm using the HTML lang for the language, that is English for EN. Okay, and then after that, let's open up the header, and inside the header you can define the meta characteristic and then the meta name, everything. So inside the this is auto taken, and then after that the meta name, as I have already said in my previous videos, meta name is required in order to tell your web page, like whichever browser it is, it should be like, uh, the width of that particular, suppose we are doing an animation, so it should be equivalent to every devices, whichever you are using, like whether it's a mobile phone or a laptop, ipad or desktop, anything. So it should be visible, and the width of this particular should be equivalent to the device width, irrespective of whatever device you're using. So herein I'll be writing the viewport. Okay, and then after that the content part, wherein we want the content to be visible according to the width of the device, right? So width will be equal to, that means it will adjust according to the device width, whatever device you are using, and of course the initial scale should be 1. Okay, now this is done. Now what I'll do, since I'll be performing with the CSS, so I'll just mention the link reel in which I'll be mentioning the style sheet and the href and the type, like what kind of style sheet I am using, rather what kind of CSS I am using. So here I'll just write style sheet, and then after this I'll write type. Okay, and you can write text CSS. Okay, and there here inside href I'll just write style.css, that is a random name. Once I create the CSS file in a new file inside the Sublime editor, then only I'll add the name over here. Okay, so this part is done. Now what we have to do, we have to go ahead and, let's say, just for a sake of example, I just write it over here inside the title, learn animation in CSS. Okay, and then let's close out the header part. Now inside this, like since our this particular example is in your web page, there would be a circle would be displayed. Don't mind the drawing of the circle. So there would be a circle in the center of your web page. Okay, and it would be divided into few colors, okay, random colors which we have to select in our CSS, and it would be rotating in its own axis. Okay, so it would be rotating this way. This is the axis. If I take that, suppose let's say it's the y axis, this is the x axis, and it would be rotating in its own axis. Okay, so you would be able to visible all the colors. So it's like an animated circle with all the colors in it. Okay, this should be the output. So for this we need to have two div class, right? One div class would be a container in which this circle would be there, right? And the second div class would be the circle itself. Okay, so inside the HTML, let's first of all go ahead and in the body part, let's create two divs. Okay, because apart from this there is nothing to be done in the HTML, so we have to just declare the divs, and then after that we have to move on to the CSS. Like the whole complete program is about the CSS itself, like how will you add the styling of the animation, what code you will use in order to animate that particular circle, right? So here we can write container, okay, and then after that I'll just open. So the circle is inside the container, right? So if you see, I have not closed this particular div. I have opened another div, and inside the div we can write class and then circle. Okay, then I'll just close up this div first, and then after this you can close up the first div. Okay, so this is done. The HTML part is done. Now let's close off. Okay, now what we have to do, since like if you only display this HTML, nothing will be displayed. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to go ahead and open up a CSS file for this particular, wherein you have to place this file. So let's say the file which I have created right now, style1.css. Now we have to work on the styling of our circle and animation of the circle inside the CSS. Okay, so for that what we have to do, we have to first of all work on the body part, wherein like what background of the screen you want, the circle which you want to create, where it should be, whether it's in the right side, left side, bottom, down, or it should be in the center. Those stuff you have to define inside the body, and there would be two styling after that. First would be for the container wherein the circle is there, and the second styling would be for the circle itself, right? So let's start off with the body. So here what we can do, we want to display it. Okay, so we can display it in a form of a flex, which should be like a display should be in the center, so we can write display flex. Okay, then after that I want the circle to be displayed in the center of the screen, so I want the content to be justified, it should be in center, so I can write justify content center. Okay, and all the items which are aligned to it, that means all the colors which are there in the circle, that should also come to the center of the screen itself. So for that what we have to do, we have to write align items. Okay, it should be center. Fine. Now next, there's no need of margin for this because it's a circle, so you can just put margin as 0, and then you have to just put a height, like how much height you want. So I can just put 100 VH. Okay, and then the background color, I just want a black black background color, and then the circle should be there in the middle of the screen. So for that what we can do, we can write background dash color. Okay, and then you can provide 000 for it. Okay, now this is the body section which is done. Now what we have to do, as I said, we have to work on container and then on the circle. So I'll write dot container. Okay, and then inside that I'll write the position of the container wherein the circle will be there, right? The position, the width, the height, okay, and the perspective. That's an important thing over here. Why? Because we are working on the animation part. So you have to define the perspective as well of the container, that yes, it should be in the center of the screen, the container wherein we will be putting the circle which will have the colors in it, and it should rotate as well, right, in an animated form. So for the position what we can write, that's the content property relative. Okay, you can choose it according to your choice. And then for the width, here you can mention, let's say I take it as 200 pixel. Okay, for the container. You can increase the size if you want a bigger circle on your screen, or any bigger. You can do the same thing with the images as well. Okay, width, height, and then as I said, perspective, which is the most important thing over here. So I'll just, that's a random value which you can put. Again, you can put it according to your choice and criteria. Now the container part is done. Next is left out the circle. Okay, now inside the circle what we have to do, again we have to decide the position, the width, the height, and how the background of the circle should look. Like background of the circle means what color should be there inside the circle. Those things we have to style it inside this particular dot circle content. Okay, so first the position. So let's say the position I keep it as absolute. Okay, again you can change it. The value, that's just a property value, you can change it, anything you can go with which suits your output. What output I want, it's related to here what I write. Okay, accordingly you can change it. Okay, so here I keep it as 100%, and then the height I also keep it as 100%. Now if you see over here in the body part, height I wrote it as 100 VH. Okay, so that's for the whole screen. Okay, if you see this particular screen and if you assume it as a web page, then it would be like this height, complete height, right? That's why it's VH. Now here for the circle, if I'm writing height in the terms of percentage, that means it's just for the circle, like how it should look, right? A smaller one, a bigger one, a medium size one, okay, a standard size one. That way you can decide it. And then I have to now work on with the background. Now what background? Because I want to display number of colors inside that particular circle. So for that we have to use the property value of the background, which is conic gradient. Okay, so what does actually conic gradient do? So inside conic gradient you can select the colors which you want starting from the degree itself. Suppose this is a circle. Okay, this is a complete circle for you, so this particular degree will be a 0 degree, right over here, and then your circles can the color can come up right from here. Okay, so for that we use the conic gradient, and inside the conic gradient you can define your color. Okay, so for that what we can write, so from 0 degree, that means starting from 0 degree the color should be, suppose red. Okay, that's up to you, I'll put my choice over here. So red, yellow, green, okay, blue, let's say purple, and then again it should come up with red. Okay, something like this, the color you can provide. Now if this particular line gets executed, that means what's happening, it starts from 0 degree and then red, yellow, green, the whole circle covers up with the colors, okay, which you want to provide. Next what we have to do, we have to tell that the circle is created, the colors are there. Now you have to rotate it as well, because we're working on the animation, right? So for that we will go for the clip path. Inside the clip path you have to define the property value of the clip path, that is circle, and it should be 50% at 50%. Okay, and the animation which comes up over here, what animation we want it to rotate, right? So we will write rotate. How much? I just want it to rotate for 10 seconds and it should be in a linear infinite path. Okay, that's my animation which we have put it over here. It should rotate in its own axis. Fine. Next what we have to do, we have to just write off the keyframes as in the x-axis. We have to the keyframes rotate, and we have to tell that yes, it should rotate from 0 degree and complete till 360 degree. So we have to define that inside this. So we'll just write 0% and then transform, the property value transform, and inside you can write rotate y, right? And here we can start off with 0 degree, and then again we have to write 100%, and then okay, so transform, and then inside that you have to take again rotate y, and we have to write it over here 360 degree. Okay, this is done for telling that yes, the circle should animate from 0 to 360 degree and it should be in a fully circular form. Okay, done. Our container part is done. So next we'll go ahead and check out for the output. Okay, so let's double check if everything is saved or not. Okay, this is a file for the circle and container. Okay, now next check the output. So here my file name is file1. So I'll just open this off. This is file1 for me. So here, this is the output. This is how the output will look like. Okay, now if you see carefully, this is the background which we used. Okay, and this is the circle with all the colors which we mentioned. And as we mentioned, we wanted a rotating circle, like an animated one with rotation, which should rotate on its own axis, right? So this is how the circle will rotate on its axis, like from 0 degree to 360 degree with all the colors inside it. Okay, this is how you can create an animation with the help of CSS and just the HTML front end. Okay, and you can do it with any kind of image, any kind of, suppose you are creating a contact form or a subscription form, anything, those you can animate like this with the help of CSS itself. Okay, so that's it in this video, guys. Hope you liked this video. If you did, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel to receive the latest updates regarding any kind of coding video which we upload regularly, and you can hit the bell icon in order to receive the update. And if you did like this particular video, please go ahead and hit the like button, share it as much as you can so that people can also learn how to animate with CSS, and it's very interesting, very useful for their project and for their career in coding, right? So thank you so much, guys, for watching. We'll meet you guys in our next video with another interesting topic. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.